first graders. Welcome back to another Junie B. Jones. We are starting a new one today. Sorry there was no video yesterday. I completely forgot that we finished Junie B. Jones Shipwrecked last week and that I need to start a new one. So today we are starting Junie B. Jones Aloha-ha-ha. If you remember, when we drew our favorite book covers for March, being reading month at Stony Creek, Eliza chose this book and she drew a cover that looked just like this. So today we're going to read chapters 1 and 2. Chapter 1 is called Flinging. And here's the picture. Friday. Dear first grade journal, I've got big news. Last night, Daddy told me a happy surprise, and it's called, My family is going on an exciting vacation, and it is going to be the time of our life, I tell you. I am trying to save my news for show and tell, but I don't think I can wait that long. That is how come I am going to ask my teacher to start that activity right exactly now. Please stand by. I stopped writing and raised my hand. Mr. Scary was not looking at me. When teachers don't look, you have to stand up and shout, or else how are they supposed to notice you? Is that what you should do? I stood up and shouted, Mr. S, how long until we have show and tell, do you think? Mr. Scary wrinkled his eyebrows at me. I'm not supposed to call him Mr. S, I believe. Please sit down, Junie B, he said. It's still journal time, and journal time is quiet time. I nodded. Yeah, I know, only I'd actually like to wrap things up and get started with show and tell now. Mr. Scary sucked at his cheeks. Sit down, he said again. We will have show and tell shortly. I looked at the clock. How many minutes is shortly, I asked. Is it 1 minute or 8 minutes or 11 minutes? On account of if it's 1 minute, I can wait, probably, but 11 minutes would be out of the question. Mr. Scary walked back to my desk and he sat me in my chair. I glanced up at him. All I'm looking for is a rough estimate, I said. Just then, my neighbor named May leaned across the aisle and she did a giant shh in my face. I quick wiped my cheek. Ew, I hollered. Ew. 'Cause May got a little spittle on me, that's why, and spittle is the grown-up word for spitooey. I zoomed to the back of the room and I climbed on the stool to reach the faucet, but Mr. Scary beat me to it. He wet a paper towel and wiped my face. Thank you, I said. I needed that. Mr. Scary rolled his eyes. You're being very rambunctious this morning, aren't you, Junie B. Jones, he said. I scratched my head at that vocabulary. Okay, you lost me on that one, I said. Rambunctious, he repeated. Rambunctious means... May's voice interrupted. Bad, she called out. Bunctious means bad, Junie B. Jones. You're being bad this morning. Bad. I turned to look at her. Her chair was spun around to face the back of the room. She was watching me like an audience. Mr. Scary ran his fingers through his tired hair. Then he went back to May's desk and he turned her back in the right direction. Teachers spend a lot of time adjusting people. After he came back, he bent down next to me and he made his voice more private. Junie B, I know why you're excited, he whispered. Your mother called me on the phone last night and she told me about your vacation next week. I threw out my arms real thrilled, and I flinged myself way high in the air. I can't wait, Mr. Scary, I can't wait, I said. Mr. Scary grabbed my arms and he kept me from flinging. Okay, see, this is the wild behavior that I'm talking about, he said. I really need you to stay calm until show and tell, Junie B. Can you do that for me, please? I thought for a second. Then I shrugged my shoulders. Yeah, only I don't actually know if I can do that, I said, because I'm already trying to be calm, and this is how I'm turning out. My teacher tapped his chin. Maybe we can make a deal, he said. How about this? If you stay quiet and calm until show and tell, I'll let you go first. How does that sound? I bounced up and down at that exciting idea. That sounds like a D-E-E-L, I said. You mean D-E-A-L, said Mr. Scary. Deal is spelled with an A, Junie B. Whatever, I said. After that, I twirled real fast in a happy circle, and I accidentally spun myself into the ground. On my way down, I knocked over the trash can and the sink stool. All of room 1 turned to look at me. I sat up and waved my fingers. Do not be alarmed, people. I am perfectly okay, I said. After that, I stood up and dusted myself off. Then I went back to my seat. I looked at the clock again. No minutes had passed at all, hardly. I put my head down and did a groan. Time is as slow as a turtle. Chapter 2 is called Paradise. The children wrote in their journals forever, it seemed. Then finally, they started to finish, and at last it was time for show and tell. My legs sprang up and they ran me to the front of the room and I flinged myself in the air again and I shouted, "Vacation, vacation! I'm going on a vacation!" Only too bad for me, because when I came down from my fling, I lost my balance and I landed on the floor again. This time, room 1 laughed their heads off. I tapped my fingers real annoyed. "Okay, I've really got to knock off the flinging," I said to just myself. Mr. Scary quieted everyone down. "Boys and girls, the reason Junie B is so excited today is that she didn't find out about her vacation until just last night." He winked at me. "Tell everyone where you're going, Junie B." I took a big breath. Then the words came hollering out. "Hawaii, people, I'm going to Hawaii, and I am going this very exact Sunday." All of the children's mouths fell open, except for not Richie Lucille's. Instead, Lucille stretched her arms in the air and she did a giant yawn. "Hawaii, ho-hum. Been there, done that," she said, real bored. Then she stood up and she twirled around and she sat back down again. My friend named Shirley stood up too. "Well, I've never been there," she said. "I can't believe it, Junie B. You're really going to Hawaii?" "Yes, Shirley, really," I said. "This was the biggest surprise of my career, I tell you. On account of last night, Daddy said he is going on a job interview in Hawaii, and he surprised me and Mother with 2 extra tickets." I skipped around my teacher, very joyful. "And that is not even the bestest part yet," I said, "because Daddy told me that this trip is for big people only, and so my baby brother named Ollie is not even allowed." There she is, skipping around her teacher. Room 1 looked shocked at that information. "Wow," said my friend Jose. "You mean you're big people, Junie B?" I nodded my head real fast. "Oh yes, Jose, I am big people, all right," I said. "That's how come I got to read the travel booklet with Mother last night, and the travel booklet says Hawaii is real, actual paradise." Mr. Scary grinned. "A paradise, huh? That's a great word, Junie B. Does everyone know what a paradise is?" Sheldon shot his hand into the air. I do, he shouted. "My grandpa Ned Potts has a pair o' dice. He used to play craps at the gambling casino, but then someone squealed to Grandma, and so now he's not allowed to go out at night anymore." May jumped up and pointed. "Sheldon said a bad word! Sheldon said a bad word!" she tattled real loud. Mr. Scary stared at her. "May, dear, I'm very sorry to ruin this special tattling moment for you," he said, "but Sheldon did not say a bad word. Craps is a dice game that's played at gambling casinos." May stood there a second. "Well, at least I gave it a shot," she said. Then she did a shrug and sat back down. After that, Mr. Scary printed the word paradise, Paradise, on the board. He turned and looked at Sheldon. "And Sheldon, my friend," he said, "the word is paradise, not pair-o-dice." Sheldon did a shrug, too. "I don't think Grandma really cares how you spell it," he said. "Grandpa's still not getting out at night." Mr. Scary closed his eyes a minute. Then he went back to the sink and he got a drink of water. On his way back, he stopped at the world map on our bulletin board and he showed room 1 where Hawaii is. "Boys and girls, these Pacific Islands are the main islands that make up the state of Hawaii," he told us. He got the word world globe off the shelf and he asked me to carry it around to show the children. I stopped at each desk. "Whoa," said Roger. "Hawaii looks like a bunch of little dots floating in the ocean." I nodded. "I know it, Roger," I said, "but my mother said the dots are bigger in person." Mr. Scary laughed. "Oh, they're much bigger in person, Junie B, and they're not really floating, Roger, so don't worry. Our friend Junie B won't be drifting away." May did a grump noise. "Phooey," she said. I ignored that situation. Instead, I put the globe back and I went to the front of the room again. "I know other information about Hawaii, too," I said. "Mother read that there are lots of flowers and birds there. Plus, also, she read that Hawaii was formed by exploding volcanoes." I thought for a second. She read a bunch of other junk, too, but I finally got bored and tuned her out. Mr. Scary did a chuckle. "Well, volcanoes are pretty interesting, really. When volcanoes erupt, they spew out lava, and over millions of years, lava can form land masses," he explained. "As a matter of fact, there are still 2 active volcanoes in Hawaii right now." I stood there real quiet, and I let that information sink in my head. Then, all of a sudden, I did a little shiver. "Okay, see, I wasn't actually aware of an eruption problem," I said. May jumped up again. "Well, I'm sure glad that I'm not going to Hawaii," she hollered. "Who wants to get erupted by a spewy hot volcano?" "Getting erupted on by a spewy hot volcano would ruin your whole vacation trip." Mr. Scary sucked in his cheeks. "Junie B is not going to get erupted on by a spewy hot volcano, May," he said. "There are no active volcanoes on the island where Junie B is going." May thought a minute. Okay, fine, but let's just say that she did get erupted on by a spewy hot volcano. That would definitely ruin her whole vacation trip. True or false? Mr. Scary went to the sink again. This time he splashed water on his face. After he dried off, he put May back in her chair. I waved my hand to talk some more. Yeah, only I didn't even tell everyone the most exciting part yet. Because guess how I'm getting to Hawaii, people? Guess, 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 I said. No, wait, I will give you a hint. After that, I straightened out my arms like wings and I zoomed around room 1. See me, people? See me? I'm flying, I'm flying. That's how I'm getting to Hawaii. I'm flying in a real, actual airplane. Lucille stood up and did another yawn. Airplane schmairplane, she said. Tell me something I haven't done. Mr. Scary sat her down. This is going to be an amazing adventure for you, Junie B., he told me. He grinned real big. And just to be sure that you bring back lots of wonderful pictures, I bought you a little gift for your trip. He went to the closet and took out a shopping bag. I hurried and peeked inside, and wowie wow, wow, there was a camera in that thing. I quick pulled it out and showed the class. Look, people, look, it's the kind of camera that you get at the drugstore, I said. I am excellent at this equipment, because I already used one on my class field trip in kindergarten. After that, Mr. Scary reached into the bag and pulled out another gift. And take a look at this, Junie B. This is called a photo journal, he said. A photo journal is similar to the first grade journals we use in class each day, except a photo journal tells a story in photographs instead of words. He opened it up for me. See inside? Each page has a place for a daily picture and a caption. Ooh, we know about captions. See right now if you can remember what a caption means. It was one of our text features. A caption is another name for a picture title, he explained. He showed the album to the class. Every day, Junie B. will take a picture of what she did on her trip, he said. Then she will organize her photos and give them captions. And when she comes back to the school, her photo journal will tell us the story of her exciting trip to paradise. He handed me my album. Doesn't that sound like a fun assignment, Junie B.? He asked. I started to nod. Then suddenly I stopped. Because something did not sound right about that sentence. I tapped on my chin. It was the word assignment, I believe. Finally, I looked at my teacher. Okay, here is the problem, I said. Assignment means schoolwork, and Hawaii means vacation, and children do not actually like to mix those two items. Mr. Scary smiled. Oh, but this will be a fun assignment, Junie B., he said, and it's a very special assignment, too. You're going to be Room 1's first official photojournalist. My ears perked up. Official? I said. Did you say the word official? He grinned. Yes, I did. That's exactly what I said. Official. I looked at him again. Official means important, right? Oh, yes, he said. You can't get much more important than being official. I stood up a little bit straighter. Official makes you automatically taller, I think. After that, Mr. Scary shook my hand and he walked me back to my seat. Oh, he said, and don't forget to take your first grade journal to Hawaii with you, okay, Junie B? It would be a terrible shame to miss a whole week of journal writing, wouldn't it? I looked at him real strange. Teachers and children do not have the same kind of brains. Finally, I did a sigh, and I took out my journal and dropped it in the bag with my camera. My friend named Herbert turned around very excited. You're a lucky duck, Junie B. Jones, he said. I wish I was going to Hawaii next week. Me too, said Lenny. Me 3, said Jose. I looked at May. She did not say me 4. Instead, she just kept on staring straight ahead, and she didn't talk at all. I did a shrug and went back to my own business. Then, suddenly, without any warning, May shot her arms into the air, and she hollered the word, kaboom! And she looked at me and smiled. That was the sound of a spewy hot volcano erupting on you, she said. I sat there for a second. Then I did another shiver. May is not amusing. Alrighty, come back tomorrow for chapters 3 and 4. Chapter 3 is called New Friend.